Okay, welcome to my image project. Um, a lot of you obviously saw this on the day. I am really bummed out about the fact it didn't work how I wanted it to because I ran so many tests before I put it up, and then it just crashed. It just didn't work how I wanted it to. There are some issues with boundaries that I did not. So like things like him falling off. It was meant to just reload like that, but I think it must have been internet speed. It could have been lots of things, but I was so. Anyways, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the project. So, my brief was on the death of high street shopping. Um, I largely looked at my hometown when thinking about this brief in terms of the decline of the high street, how it's become a lot less accessible, um, and how there's such a much bigger push to shop online, especially with the rise of apps like Temu, Shein, AliExpress, stuff like that, where you can get loads of it's all fast fashion, made cheap, um, and it costs nothing. So the rise of that compared to small businesses, quality of work. Um, so what my idea was I wanted to keep using 3D. That was mainly where this brief came from. I just wanted to use 3D again because I did it for my type project. Really enjoyed using it. Wanted to learn a bit more about interactivity. Um, I made an interactive. I want to say game, but it's more of an exhibition, more of an environment even. So yeah, you can chat to all these little pigeons. I based it off of a pigeon because I don't know. A lot of people ask me why I didn't use humans. I think it's just personal preference. I didn't like the way because I did try creating a human model. I didn't like it. I just didn't like how it looked. And a pigeon, much smaller. I felt I could get a lot more in. Um, and I could change the color of him as the main character. He's more green compared to these blue guys. They're a lot more easier to animate. And he's got his little shopping bag and he's shopping. So this is environment one. I originally planned to do three, but I can't make three scenes in Spline unless I pay for it. And these took me months as is to make. Um, Luckily, I could reuse the same buildings across models, but it took so long adding a third scene, especially when it lessens the contrast between the past and the future, because I was going to do a present. Just didn't really make sense. So this scene, as you can see, has a lot less. Sorry, there's another train going by. A lot less pigeons, a lot less interactive elements to it because I wanted to show that it becomes more boring, more stark, more of a wasteland. I changed the lighting to be a bit more techno, and I've made jabs at various brands in terms of the nature of online shopping. And I made these really cool drones. This was a really interesting thing for me to learn how to make, which was pathways and animated loops. So what you can't see, which I'll go and show you in a second, is how I managed to make this, really. So this is my end result. As you can see, it loads so much better on here than it did in real life, which bums me so much. I'm so mad about it. I'm so mad that it didn't load properly because this is really cool. I think the only problem was is I didn't have clear enough instructions because a lot of people mention the WASD keys are quite difficult to understand, but that's just typical keys that you'd use if you were online gaming. So I didn't think anything of it, and I think a lot of for people my age, it was easier for that to be understandable of how to use it. But I think that got the misconstrued. But okay, let me show you. Please open this there. Let me open up a new one. Okay, so this is my final project, and I'll show a little bit. There is a lot happening here, a lot if it loads. Because okay, so this is scene one. We've got two scenes, past and future. These are not even half the elements. This is the main past scene. Got the interactive elements, things that I could code. The birds were a whole other section. Scene one, this is more objects. It's more objects, more objects, more objects. Certain things, my UFO is really cool, which is this guy, and then animating them using states. And these are the events and commands. So when the distance hits the pigeon, of 150, then I would transition the scene, which is how I switched it to the other one. Um, and all of this took ages to get to grips with. I don't really have any past models because I've kept updating the same one. But let me see if I can show you the drones. Loop animation. Drones. Here, you can't see the path. There's the path. There's the path that it follows. If I play it, you can see that they followed this path, which is interesting. But obviously that path is invisible, so you'll never see it. In terms of what the biggest issue with this was one, creating these posters. They take up an enormous amount of room. The size of them, I had to compress them multiple times because even at a standard A4 size with like a DPI, I think was less than 300, so it wasn't massive. It's still not great, but this impacted the size of my file. The main thing I had to deal with was compression, and these are all the materials I have used to make this across both scenes. The less materials you use, the quicker it's going to run, as well as like merging geometries of shapes, because I did have every building as an individual, but I had to basically change it so it's only like it's all compressed into one because it was taking up so much room. I don't know if you can hear my computer right now, but it's like gonna explode. So this was the performance in terms of running time, which is not brilliant. You kind of ideally want it green, but this is the best you can do for something of this size, and because I wanted all the interactive elements. So like, it's annoying how restrictive it became purely because of my technology. But I think with what I was given, I feel I'm really happy with this project, and I learnt so much about using Spline. Different environments, different colors. Look at them, they're so cute. So this is it. I would have really liked to have gained more of this detail because I think maybe far away it gets lost. Because look, he's got sprinkled donuts, like sprinkled donuts. And this guy, he's just got his little bag, like, and he's got his bread and a checkerboard, and it's just, I don't know. I think I'd like to try a different perspective, but I like the idea of the scene not being able to move, so I kept him on an axis. You can technically use the arrow keys to spin him around, but yeah, there it is. Still mad that it didn't work, but it's fine. I think I still learnt something, and even if like the project itself wasn't executed how I wanted to on the day that I needed it to, that, you know, I learnt something. It's not necessarily a failure, it's just something to do better for next time, I suppose. But yeah, I'm gonna add links to this in my project, in my PDF, and I'll upload it separately, so you will be able to take a look at the interaction elements if you would so like to. But yeah, that's how I made it. Thank you for listening.